Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Come to the second part of the half-angle identities. Say that the half-angle identity is given by sine alpha over 2 is equal to plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine alpha divided by 2 for cosine alpha over 2 equal to plus or minus square root of 1 plus cosine alpha over 2, and tangent alpha over 2 is given by plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine alpha divided by 1 plus cosine alpha, or it's equal to sine alpha divided by 1 plus cosine alpha, or it's equal to 1 minus cosine alpha divided by sine alpha. And the sign for plus or minus depends on the quadrant in which alpha by 2 is given. And let's apply this to find some exact value for the sine, cosine, and tangent of alpha over 2 if we are given one of the trigonometric function value and the quadrant of the angle alpha. So I need to find the exact values of the sine, cosine, and tangent of alpha over 2. But we are given sine alpha only. Sine alpha equal to 5 over 13. And we need to find the sine of alpha over 2, the half angle of this one, and cosine alpha over 2, tangent alpha over 2. And alpha or alpha is given to be between 90 and 180. It means alpha is in the first quadrant. So from this one, alpha is in the first quadrant. So if alpha is in the first quadrant, 90 less than alpha less than 180, then if we divide by 2, divide this by 2, divide by 2, I will have 45 less than alpha over 2 less than 90, which means that alpha over 2 is also in the first quadrant. Dividing alpha over 2, I will have alpha over 2 will be in the first quadrant. This will be used to choose the sign in front of the square root. It is plus or minus, we said. So if alpha over 2 is in the first quadrant, means that sine alpha over 2 will be positive, cosine alpha over 2 is positive, and tangent also will be positive. Now I have sine alpha equal to 5 over 13. But we know that sine alpha over 2 we said this is plus or minus square root of 1 minus cosine alpha over 2. But since alpha is in the first quadrant, so we will choose the positive sign to the plus. But we don't have cosine alpha. So I have to find cosine alpha first. From the given sine alpha over 2, or sine alpha, sorry, given by 5 over 13, we know that sine alpha equal to y over r, which means that y equal to 5, r equal to 13. So we can find x. It will be r square minus y square. R square, which is 13 square, equal to 169 minus 25. That will give me square root of 144, which is equal to 12. So x equal to 12. Now I have x. So cosine alpha will be x over r, and it is positive because alpha is in the first quadrant, which is equal to 12 over 13. Now we have cosine alpha, we can find sine alpha over 2. So sine alpha over 2 is equal to plus square root of 1 minus cosine alpha is 12 over 13 or divide by 2 is equal to square root of 13 minus 12 over 26. Multiply this by 1 and by 2 down. It will be 13 minus 12 over 26, which is equal to plus 13 minus 12 is equal to 1, and the square root is 1 over 26. Or it can be written as plus square root of 26 divided by 26 by rationalizing the denominator. This is sine alpha over 2. For cosine alpha over 2, number 2. Cosine alpha over 2, it is a plus square root of 1 plus cosine alpha divided by 2, which is equal to, this is positive, 1 plus cosine is 12 over 13 all over 2, which is equal to, multiply 13 by 1, I will have 13, and 13 by 2 down, it will be 13 plus 12 over 26, which is equal to 25 over 26. That will be 5 over square root of 26, and by rationalizing, this is equal to 5 square root of 26 divided by 26. This is cosine alpha over 2. For the last one, tangent alpha over 2. Which is equal to sine alpha over 1 plus cosine alpha, or 1 minus cosine alpha over sine. Any one of them will be okay. Sine alpha is given by 5 over 13. 1 plus cosine alpha, which was 12 over 13. So this will give me 5 over 13 plus 13 plus 12 over 13. I can cancel this 13 with this 13. So it will be 5 over 25, or it is 1. It is 5 over 25, or it is 1 over 5. So tangent of alpha over 2 is equal to 1 over 5. Let's have another example. Given cosine alpha equal to minus 8 over 17, and alpha is between 180 and 270. So it is in the third quadrant. This is third quadrant. But we are looking for alpha over 2, not alpha. So we have 180 less than alpha less than 270. So if we divide by 2, this will give me 180 divided by 2 is 90, less than alpha divided by 2 less than 135. It means that alpha over 2 is in the second quadrant. This is very important, because we know that sine in the second quadrant is positive, cosine is negative, and tangent is negative. So now let's find the sine alpha over 2. Number 1, sine alpha over 2, because this is in the second quadrant, sine is positive. So it is plus 1 minus cosine alpha over 2, which is equal to plus square root of 1 minus. Cosine is given to be minus 8 over 17. All divided by 2. And that's square root. So this is equal to plus. Minus with minus will be plus. I will have 17 plus 8 over 34. This can be simplified in this way. This will be square root of 25 over 34, which is equal to equal to 5 over square root of 34, and by rationalizing, this is 5 multiplied by square root of 34 divided by 34. So this is sine of alpha over 2. For cosine alpha over 2, so the cosine alpha over 2 was in the second quadrant, so it is negative minus 1 plus cosine alpha divided by 2, which is equal to minus 1 minus 8 over 17 divided by 2. This is equal to minus, it will be 17 minus 8 over 34. 17 times 2 will give me 34. So I will have 17 minus 8 equal to 9 over 34, and it is negative, which is equal to minus 3 over square root of 34. Or by rationalizing, this is minus 3 multiplied by square root of 34 divided by 34. So this is cosine of alpha over 2. Last one is tangent alpha over 2. Tangent is negative. So if I use the square root form, it is 1 minus cosine alpha divided by 1 plus cosine alpha, which is equal to minus 1 minus cosine was minus, so it is minus 18 over, or minus 8 over 17 divided by 1 plus, or this is not more. Okay, I can write it plus negative minus 8 over 17. Which is can be written as negative square root of 17 plus 8 over 17 and 17 minus 8 over 17. Cancel this 17 with this one. I will have negative square root of 25 over 9, or it is minus 5 over 3. So the tangent alpha over 2 is given to be minus 5 over 3. So this is the idea of applying the half angle identities to find sine or cosine or tangent alpha over 2.